Hey guys, Andy here. So today we are comparing the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 6, how much of an improvement has been made from the 5 to the 6, because the 5's technology, the hardware, the lens, the camera, the sensors, from what I understand, haven't changed since the Pixel 2, and the Pixel 6 is all new hardware, lenses, sensors and all that kind of thing. So how much of a difference does it really make? Let's find out. So I realised actually as I'm doing this, I haven't got a massive wide array of photos to compare the two, but I've got a few different ones and different situations and scenarios, and we'll move on to some video after that. Because unfortunately I don't carry them both everywhere with me, so I had to specifically take them both out to be able to do comparison shots. And honestly, I've just been really busy this last week or so, and I don't want to keep delaying it because I want to do this before I do the actual Pixel 6 review. So if I delay this, then the Pixel 6 review gets delayed. So I just want to get it out there. And I think we've got enough to take a look at and to draw a few conclusions from. And in fact, I want to start off by showing you this shot. I'll show you the first one. I won't tell you which phone took the photo, and then we'll switch to the other image. And you just have a think about which you think is the better image. So if I tell you that the second image was the Pixel 6, that probably, I don't know, does it surprise you? I'm not sure. I was going to say it probably doesn't surprise you because it's a more vivid picture. And I think, well, I worry, and I suppose I'm almost summarising some of the whole camera and lens thing in this very first photo. Have Google gone a bit too far with their sort of optimization, their software optimization? And I feel like that particular shot, the Pixel 6 recognises what bit is grass and should be green and what bit is blue, is sky and should be blue, and it kind of enhances that. I mean, it might be, to be honest, that it just turns up the sort of contrast and colours a little bit more than it probably should. So let's have a look at a different shot. This one here is just a shot of over the A405 or something like that. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think there's a great deal between the two, and I think in good lighting conditions, very average cameras produce similar photos to the Pixel. So a lot of people say, I don't see what's so special, I don't think they're that great. You're probably just comparing photos in good conditions. We're going to come on to harder conditions shortly. And then there's another one of my bike and fields behind. And again, I think maybe the colours just pop a little bit more. The green, I worry, I think maybe that the green in the Pixel 6 is a bit much. Are the colours actually truer on the Pixel 5? I mean, I guess the good news would be if that's the case, if it is them just doing too much software related, and I think MKBHD says something similar, that sometimes almost the software is getting in the way of the good hardware, and just relax and let the good hardware take a good photo. Let's move on to a shot which was taken facing kind of directly into the sun. I mean, it wasn't super bright, but it was pretty bright. It was that sort of brightness where you're squinting a bit to look at it. And honestly, I don't know there's a great deal between the two. Maybe, in fact, yeah, I mean, reasonably sure that the shadows in the Pixel 6 have been, there's a little bit more detail. There's a slightly better dynamic range on the Pixel 6. But they're both reasonable photos in tough conditions, I would say. Then I'm going to come indoors, and this next photo of the my board games made me realise actually it's slightly wider angle on the Pixel 6. This is just a regular wide angle lens, not the ultra wide. We'll come to that in a moment. But it did just show you that, yeah, you can fit a little bit more in the Pixel 6, which I like. That's my preference. I take a lot of scenic shots outside. Again, other than that, I think maybe the white balance is slightly better on the Pixel 6 than it was on the Pixel 5. But there's not a huge amount between the photos. Likewise, when we have the, I mean, what they're called, bobbleheads, pop something or others, there's really very little between the two photos, I think. I don't know that I could pick one from the other. Then let's look at the selfie camera, I suppose. Again, this was side by side, and I can tell you that the cameras were literally sort of the two heads of the camera were touching when I took this photo, so that it wasn't one in front of the other. But again, you can see the Pixel 6 has a wider angle selfie camera, which again, I like. The more, generally when you're taking a selfie, well, not generally, but quite often you might want to get more in. You don't really want it just your head being the massive element of the frame. Actual image quality wise, no, I mean, yeah, I think they're very similar pictures otherwise. Then let's have a quick look. I've only got one comparison photo for the ultra wide. And again, and you're probably going to get a little bit bored of me saying this, there's not a great deal between the two. Again, the greens on the Pixel 6, possibly a little much. I think there's much the same detail in the clouds, maybe a little bit more detail in the Pixel 6 clouds. And the only thing, it's not quite as visible in this one, but I have somewhere got a photo where I did this in this same picture, but in portrait. And the bike is really distorted. So I think the sort of fisheye element sort of happens on the Pixel 6. And again, maybe they can fix that with some software updates. I think, right, so then we're going to go into the low lights. Now I think this is where we do start to see some difference. So this first picture outside the fire station, I personally think there's a lot more detail in the Pixel 6, which stands to reason that the sensor is a lot bigger. I think it's 50% bigger. I would also point out, so when I took this picture, again, side by side at the same time, the Pixel 5, you can kind of see the car coming towards me is further away in the Pixel 6 photo because it was a quicker photo from when I pressed the shutter. The Pixel 5 had switched over automatically into night mode, and therefore it took longer to take the photo, whereas the Pixel 6 just said, yeah, I can deal with this amount of low light, not a problem, let's do it. And I think it did a really good job. Interestingly, I think the colours are a bit better on the Pixel 6. The red looks a bit more of a red, whereas it looks a little bit orangey on the Pixel 5. And the sort of almost the proof on the detail is if you zoom in to the road sign on the left, it's really quite clear on the Pixel 6, but on the Pixel 5 it's actually a bit of a blurry mess, if we're honest. So that first low light photo, definitely the Pixel 6 looks better. If we look at the sort of street view photo, I don't know there's a huge amount difference again really here. What else do I have? Then we've got the selfie camera again, whereas we can see it's not as obvious, the slightly wider angle, but it is. I mean, you can see there's more space above my head. Mind you, it looks like there's less of my jacket. So yeah, it's less obvious at this point. They actually look a much more similar, well, what's the word? Amount of wide angle, I don't know. I think the colours on the Pixel 6 look better. My skin tone, I think, is better. I look almost slightly orangey on the Pixel 5. Again, there's not a huge amount to separate the two otherwise, I wouldn't say. So, interesting. Yeah, the colours on the main lens, maybe a little too strong, a little too oversaturated. I guess it's a preference thing. I suppose, which picture did you pick as being the better one right at the beginning? The more natural or the more vibrant? So now we will move into take a look at some of the video. So starting off, this is the Pixel 5. And actually, when I watch one after the other, I realise that the colours look quite flat on the Pixel 5. And the detail is generally okay in this one, but then we switch over to the Pixel 6. And again, you can see it's enhancing those greens, and just generally the colours look a bit stronger. The blue of the jumper there looks a lot better. The next shot, that looks really digitised to me. I don't know why. There's no digital zoom or anything like that. No particular issue with the panning. The green is quite strong there in the grass this time. And generally a reasonable bit of video. Then we're going to switch to the Pixel 6 again, and that looks a crisper image actually. Again, the greens are very strong, very strong. It's nice smooth panning. I do think the 6 has the better image quality. Then we're going to see some side by side, and look how much bluer the sky is on the Pixel 6, and even actually on the Pixel 5 on the left. Again, it almost looks digitized. I don't know why. I've not got any settings on. It's just fairly standard stock. I'm not really sure why it would look like that. But yeah, clearly the Pixel 6, I think, and I don't know how it's going to look by the time this has been encoded and uploaded to YouTube, then YouTube encodes it. You might have to just take my word for it in some ways, I suppose. Then let me show you a bit of the front-facing camera with a bit of my voice as well to see how the two compare. So I thought I'd take a moment to do them side by side. We can check the microphones, and interestingly, somewhere up there, I don't know if you can hear it, there's a plane of some kind. Now, both cameras are right next to each other, so it's interesting. The Pixel 6 clearly has a wider frame, which I like. And also, this is just an opportunity to check the microphones. I've just turned on, I forgot what it's called, like speech enhancement on the Pixel 6. I don't know. Yeah, myself, it's the first time I've tried it, so we'll see how that sounds, I suppose. Let me back. So interesting. Obviously, the wider angle on the Pixel 6 is nice. Not a huge amount between them. The vocals on the Pixel 5 are clearly a bit softer, and actually makes me wonder if I should turn back off the voice enhancement, because that almost makes it too punchy on the Pixel 6. So I'm sorry, I should have recorded. I didn't know how it sounded until I got home and heard it. I should have perhaps tried some more. Then we're going to have a look at some low light video, and we're starting off here with the Pixel 5. And again, quite honestly, I'm looking at this thinking, oh, that doesn't look good. There's a lot of noise. There's just so much noise, and it's just a bit of a fuzzy mess, if I'm honest. And then it's really brought home when you switch over to this Pixel 6 with its larger sensor, with its 50% larger sensor. And the difference is, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. And I know, I almost feel bad now trashing, like, I don't know, just look how bad this Pixel 5 looks. There's another bit of footage. And in the low light, I mean, I guess I've not really done a lot of filming in low light. And maybe I just kind of accepted, well, this is what low light looks like. It's just tough, it's low light. But then again, you get to this Pixel 6 footage and you think, wow, that is so much better. So much better. And I think that's kind of where we are. In good conditions, there's not a lot between them, if anything, really. I mean, the punchier colours, perhaps, and that might get adjusted, or that might even, I've not really looked through the settings, I might even be able to change that somewhere in the settings. But then I think when you get to the low light situations, and that bigger sensor really pays dividends, it really, really shows the difference. I mean, that low light video footage, again, I don't know how it's going to look by the time I've encoded it and then uploaded it to YouTube, and then YouTube's encoded it. They both might look crap, to be honest, but again, maybe you just have to take my word from it. The Pixel 6 looks so much better. I mean, almost embarrassingly so for the 5. So there we go. What do you think? Do you like the strong colours? Do you like the punchy? Which picture did you pick way back at the beginning? Did you pick the sort of punchier greens? Or do you prefer the subtler, maybe more realistic colours? I don't think there's any argument in low light the Pixel 6 is better. I don't think anyone can argue for the Pixel 5 in that case. But still, what do you think about the video, the quality, the sound, the voice, and all that sort of thing? Let me know in the comments. I do read all of the comments. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed, please do. I'm going to try and get the review done in the next 2 or 3 days, hopefully Thursday at the latest. But for now, my name's Andy, and I'll catch you all again soon.